here, gave his precious time. So, without further ado, let's just do a short introduction. Welcome to the Fighters Lounge. And here with me tonight, Mr. Will Chope. Will, how are you,
Oh,
bro?
yeah, what's up, man? It's been a while. Where are you
It's
at these days? Are you back in the States? Or are you still in Davao?
I've been all over, but I'm here back in the States. I'm down here in Texas,
Oh, cool,
Rio
cool.
Grande Valley, near the Mexican border, where you see
Oh,
all
wow.
the crazy stuff, immigrants just passing. And you, where are you now? You've been around the world, but where are you at?
Right now I'm in Bangkok. We just had a TFC in last Sunday, a Thailand
Mm,
Fighting Championship last Sunday in Phuket, but I wasn't able to get there. I just got married, so I've been having a kind of a crazy. So my team covered me for the last TFC event, but
mm,
yeah, I'm in Bangkok right now, but on the 29th, I fly to the Philippines because I'm fighting for the URCC on December 6th.
mm.
So, yeah, I got a lot of travel plans coming up quite soon. So,
That's what I heard. In behalf of MMA Davao, by the way, congratulations on being,
I'm
a
married,
married man.
locked up. I, I got my ball and chain, guys. I'm one of you guys.
Welcome to the club.
Oh man.
So, how was it? We did talk a while ago, and you did mention that from a busy fighter like you, how did the 2 year so-called pandemic affected you?
Man, like I said, I went from having around 12 to 20 fights. I always have fought at least once a month, sometimes
Mm,
multiple times a month, 12 to 20 fights a year. I've maintained that since 2010, since I made my pro debut. And from going from that many fights down to only like 4 or 5 a year,
mm,
I still was relatively busy compared to other professional fighters. But for me, it was like a huge drop. And for a huge like drop of fights also means a huge drop of my income because so much of my income living out here in Asia and living around the world is just based off of me fighting. So it was a yeah, it was a rough 2 years. It definitely was rough.
Was there a change in some kind of your body physiology? Should I say when your fights decrease?
It's funny. One of the guys in Phuket, they said, "I think you got reverse CCE or CCT." Like, they're like, "You have more fights, but every single time they see me, and my fight number goes up, but I'm like, they say I handle myself better or
Mm,
carry myself better, so to speak. I speak better." They said back in the day, I was a little bit more. I think it was more just age, just immaturity, and being shy and naive, and
right,
yeah,
right.
I think that's the only difference. But they say I got reverse CCT.
Don't you feel like some guys, if they can fight for a long time, they had this ring rust? Are you starting to feel that?
my my biggest thing was just like because I was traveling so much and my income took a big hit, and I was still trying to find out where I can go and how I can live and make money and then also still try to stay training while I was still traveling and if I don't have nowadays like if I don't have a proper fight camp before a fight, like I end up being I think my performance really shows and have some
Mm,
dog shit performances when I don't have proper fight camps and then a lot of the fights that I have been offered, especially since 2020, from even just recently, even this year, they've always been like very last minute fights and 1 week notice, 2 weeks notice,
oh wow.
and all those fights. Like I'll take it because I need the money, but and I still rather fight for my living than work a normal job, and but because of that, my performance hasn't been the best, and I have had like a really I'd say my last 10 fights, my record's not so good. It's like maybe
Mm,
3-7 or 4-6 or something. It's not, and a lot of it's because it's been really last minute or because I'm
right, right.
traveling. That's definitely been hard.
Did I get my numbers right? You had at least 56 professional fights.
I have 131 pro fights,
Oh,
including Muay Thai, bare knuckle boxing, Lethwei, K1, and MMA. But for MMA, my professional MMA record is 39 wins and 19 losses. So I'm almost at 60,
mm,
60 pro MMA fights. But almost 60 pro fights, but everything else all together is
Right, right.
my
So I got those
adrenaline.
numbers from for your MMA fights, and the rest are, oh my God. I mean, you've been into different combat sports, bro. First thing, I gotta go back to history. How did you start with combat sports? It's like, why did you get into this?
I, man, okay. So my stepdad actually went to high school with Ken Shamrock. They're from Susanville, California, and it's
What?
kind of a cool story about
Oh, wow. Go
my
ahead,
my
go ahead, bro.
grandma, my
Uh-huh.
grandma, my dad's mom. She ran a group home, and Ken Shamrock's adopted dad also ran a group home in the same town in Susanville, and so
Oh,
they knew each other quite well. And you know, and although as Ken became super famous and did his own thing, like my dad always kind of followed his career. And even in the '90s, when I was just a little kid, I was born in 1990, but like when I was 3, 4 years old, one of the earliest things I can remember is watching the UFC with my dad. And even
oh,
back in the day when he fought in Pancrase, we used to get the old VHS tapes, and he would find these old fights of Ken Shamrock, and we'd follow his career. But then also we became huge fans of the UFC as well.
mm,
Um, and I always grew up watching it. And then it was just always something I thought I could do. I got in a lot of street fights when I was in middle school and junior high and high
mm.
school and all that. And so, and then I was in the military for only a short time. And after I got discharged, I got a bad conduct discharge from the military.
Mm.
And I was 19 years old, and I felt like a bad conduct discharge was going to be something that was going to hold me back on the job market in America. And so I
Right.
was like, okay, I bought a ticket to Paris, and I was going to go join the French Foreign Legion. I was like, I was
Oh,
still thought the military life was for
mhm.
me, and I was going to go join the Legion. Had a ticket to Paris, and 1 week before my ticket, I decided to switch it and go to Phuket to go try out Muay Thai in Thailand and just see if I can be a fighter, And I always
Mhm.
thought like if I wasn't very good or if I didn't make enough money or something that I could always go back and join the Legion. But but that's what happened. 2010, 19 years old, flew all the way to Thailand, and ever since then I haven't looked back, and that's been my life now.
Your first love, I say, is Muay Thai.
But yes and no, but like I was always like I went to Tiger Muay Thai back in 2010 before
TMT.
it became
Oh,
like such a super famous super gym. A guy named Ray Elby was there. He was like a purple belt, and he was on the Ultimate
oh
Fighter
yeah, wait.
before he was head coach. And
I heard about Ray Elby. Yeah.
yeah, he's an infamous character, but but like I originally went to Tiger, and yes, I did Muay Thai, and my first actual fight was, or no, actually, my first ever fight was an amateur MMA fight at Tiger Muay Thai, and then 1 week later, after my first amateur fight, I had my pro debut in Muay Thai. So, and I just got in and I moved to Thailand. I thought I'm gonna do it all. Like I'm gonna do Muay Thai, MMA, anything I can fight. I'm gonna do it because this is how I want to make my living. I've always felt if I just did Muay Thai, my income would be limited. If I just did MMA, maybe I wouldn't have enough fights. So like if maybe MMA you only fight 3 or 4 times a year, but then if I do Muay Thai K1,
You get
everything
more
else
time.
I can always stay busy, always have a paycheck coming in. Like some people live paycheck to paycheck or week to week or month to month, and I definitely have been living fight to fight since 2010. So yeah.
Talking about Ray Elby, there's this other black guy who's been there in Muay Thai, and he's still here. He's still teaching Tiger Muay Thai. I don't know if you heard about him. I forgot though his name, but he's a black guy. He used to be, heavyweight, but I mean, he's a heavy hitter.
Cyrus
Um,
Washington was one of them. He was a Muay Thai guy who was at Tiger way back in the day.
hmm.
But Coach DJ Jackson is at a gym called Southside MMA in Phuket that just opened up, and he's like a
Anyway, when you mention about Ray, is he still there in Tiger, or where is he at? I heard
no,
he
no. I
bought
mean, Ray
UFC.
left like quite a few years ago. He's I think he's married or he's engaged with
Cyborg.
Cyborg, and like he manages. He's like Cyborg's manager too, and helps everything with Cyborg. But he hasn't been in Phuket for quite a long time, and Phuket has definitely changed a lot since I would say he put Phuket on the map for MMA. Railby kind of did that with Tiger, but then Phuket Top Team opened up, aka Bang Tao,
Right.
all
Right.
now that's like Phuket is like the number one fitness and training destination in the world for fitness and training tourism. And there's I would say there's over 20 different gyms in Phuket alone on this one island. So it's
I
quite
know because
crazy.
you got a lot of professional fighters from here in the States. They train in Phuket. They
Yeah.
go and they're really top fighters. Anyway, moving forward, what was your exposure on how did you should I say uh how did URCC got you into that promotion? How did it start with URCC?
Oh, so like I used to be good friends with Mark Striegel. Me and him had a big falling out a few years ago before I joined the UFC actually. But um he was going to go to Baguio to do training. Actually, originally we wanted to train with Tima Kai. This is way back
Okay.
in the end of 2011, and I went with him, and we both went to Baguio. And our original plan was just to stay in the Philippines for a month. Um, Tima Kai is a real weird. It's kind of a weird gym being an outsider if you're not like what do you say, Igorot or
Mm.
Ilocano. If you're not like local, it's kind of a weird gym to be at if you're not as a foreigner. And even
Mhm.
when I was talking about being there, they're already talking about matching me up to fight some Team Makai fighters in the
Oh,
URCC and other shows. So I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't really want to go to their gym if they're going to match me up to fight their guys. I was like, that's quite strange. But I ended up training at another gym and then training at a gym called Fight Core, and and then I got offered to fight in the URCC against Jerson Estoro. This was like their bantamweight
mm.
stud way back in the day, and I won. I won by a standing guillotine, and then 2 weeks later, the URC had another fight, but the guy pulled out, and I was a last minute replacement, and I won that fight also by a standing guillotine, and I won 2 fights in a row, and I went from being a 2-4 MMA fighter to a 4-4. I
Mhm.
even out my record at that point in 2011, and
Oh,
and then I was staying in the Philippines. It was great training, great cost of living. Like I got along with people. People really supported me there, and I had a contract with URCC, and I remember I called out your friend Angelito back then. This is like way back in 2012. He was fighting in Martial Combat, which was the show that was before One Championship. A lot of people don't know
it
that
combat.
Martial
Yep.
Combat was,
It's Singapore. Yep.
yeah, but a lot of people don't know Martial Combat was the precursor to One,
It
and
was.
uh,
It was.
and like the fact that and then there was a guy in the tournament in a tournament in Bangkok, an MMA tournament I was in, Shane Wiggin, who Angelito beat, and also there's a good chance I was going to fight Shane, and also I still had my career in the URC as well, and I was like, I want to fight Angelito because if he beat Shane and I beat him, I'll beat Shane for sure. Like in my
Right,
head, I was like
right, right, right,
MMA
right.
math, you know. I was like MMA math. I'll beat him, and then I'll beat that guy, no problem. And then and also I was real young and I was quite like a loudmouth. And some people would say I think I've changed a lot. I'm definitely not as I was even disrespectful. I'd say a lot about how to call out guys because I didn't know as a young kid. I didn't know any other way to get attention. I just wanted attention and to get fights and make loud noise and try to be like back in the day. It wasn't like Conor McGregor. It was like be like Chael Sonnen and maybe I'll get fights, get
Yes,
offers. And I was
yes,
like, I'll be
yes.
like this guy and just create hype and create controversy and get fights and that's kind of what I did for most of 2012. And to be honest, it kind of worked. So
It
I,
did.
I look back and laugh at myself, but at the same time, it kind of worked.
I remember you messaging me, not just Angelito Maguray. You were calling out Ricardo Sapno because he got
Yeah.
his belt,
Yep.
and we were trying to set up a fight in Davao. But I said, man, this would be somewhat like a professional fight between you and Ricardo Sapno because both of you are from URCC. So I said, okay, I might just wait for URCC to have this done rather than on my event, which is you cannot say it's a smoker because both of you are up there.
Yeah. And yeah, because I remember there's a lot of people know about the Philippines. There's a lot of promotions that do kind of underground or like you say, smokers. It's not sanctioned with GAB. So if
Mhm.
it's not sanctioned with GAB, it can't go on as a pro fight. Same in
Right.
America. If you're not licensed by the commissions, it's not a professional fight unless it's at like one of those Indian casinos, but like, yeah. But I mean, a lot of people don't know this about MMA and is even the sport in the Philippines because in Thailand we with Thailand Fighting Championship, my partner's licensed with the Sports Authority of Thailand. We have to
Mm,
have a promoter's license, but you got other shows here in Thailand that are completely like underground, but they're still
right.
registered as pro fights as well. So
Oh,
it's quite weird. You know, some of these countries that don't actually have proper MMA commissions,
mm,
it's yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of gray area in places like Thailand. Although where like Philippines and America, there's no gray area or not. It's black or white. You're licensed or you're not, and that's the difference, you know.
right, right. I'm gonna show you some photos here and just something. If you can say something about it, just go ahead. And this one, if you remember this one, talk to me about that experience.
Yeah, it was. I just fought Andrew Benibe for the interim featherweight title because Ricardo Sabno was still the champion at this point. It was 2013. It was actually shortly before I got signed to the UFC as well.
Whoa.
It was yeah, I think mid or the third quarter of 2013 is when I fought Benibe for the belt. So skinny, I was such a skinny, tall, lanky, skinny guy. I'm still tall and lanky, but I definitely weigh a lot more than I did back then.
I remember the term lanky fighter.
Yeah,
Was that
lanky
one?
madness. That's yeah,
Lanky madness. Now, from lanky madness, it went to kill. Will kill.
yeah.
So,
Well, I was always Will to Kill from the very beginning, but I always thought lanky madness sound cooler. But it's not that rhyme. It doesn't have that zing, whatever. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. There's
Whatever.
another fighter, bro. I When I look at him, I watch him in UFC recently. I remember you. His name is O'Malley.
Yeah, Sugar Sean.
The lankiness and you're 6'4", I remember. Is that correct?
Yeah, 6'4". Yeah, and
Now,
Sean
another
O'Malley fights at bantamweight, which is 135 or 61 kilo. It's yeah,
he's
yeah. But that
also
was
heavy. Yeah, go ahead.
that was a big fight. That winning that belt was a huge one because it was like my first real belt, to be honest, like in a
Mm.
major promotion. So it changed my life, to be honest.
I remember you saying Mark Striegel. Did I, if I remember it right, is it Team Num Num or Team Chum Chum or what was
Oh, we were
what?
like team buff. It was like weird. We were called Team Buffet. It was
Team
like the
Buffet. Team
foodies.
Buffet.
And it was funny. I'm like the skinniest guy part of Team Buffet. It made no sense actually, but yeah.
I remember that one. Next photo. This one.
That was my last Lethwei fight was in Taiwan and Taipei. Um, it's cool because Lethwei really is expanding a lot ever since
Mhm.
Dave Leduc became the Lethwei champion. He appeared on Joe Rogan, and Lethwei's getting a lot of light. And I fought two Lethwei fights in Japan, and they partnered up with this promoter in Taiwan to start Lethwei in Taiwan. And I yeah, my third Lethwei fight was in Taiwan. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
For the sake of our viewers here, how does Lethwei differ from other combat sports?
So it's bare knuckle, but like the difference between bare knuckle is you're still allowed to wrap your hands with tape and gauze, but the last layer of tape has to be gauze.
Uh,
Um, like you can't have tape because tape can still scratch people. But so last bit has to be gauze. You can cover your knuckles, but bare knuckle boxing or BKFC doesn't let you cover your knuckles. But still, just hand wraps. You're fighting with with cotton hand wraps. They allow it's just like Muay Thai, but they allow elbows, headbutts. You can headbutt, but in Muay Thai, there's a lot of fouls in the clinch. Like you can't trip your opponent. You can't throw them. But in Lethwei, you can do any throw, any sweep, any trip you want. You can do basically any takedown you want, but your knee can't touch the ground. But if you want to pick them up by their legs and throw them or suplex them, in that
uh,
card of that show that I fought in Taiwan, this
uh,
Japanese guy suplexed this he suplexed this Burmese guy, and it was like the most beautiful suplex I ever watched live, and it was in that show.
Nobody knew about this, or some old school have seen this fight. And I mean, you have fought this man, a big
And
contender. How
yeah,
was
I
it?
mean, it still haunts me kind of. I remember, yeah, it was so weird. I had like a weird cut on my cheek from
Uh-huh.
that fight. He cut me up so much. It was those UFC Sentry gloves are so brutal. They cut you so easy. And yeah, I just remember it being a war, and I was really disappointed because I think I did. I think I won that first round against Max Holloway. I still look
Uh-huh.
back and think I won it in the second round, but just for some reason I got desperate and I just thought I have to clinch him. I have to take him down, and I just didn't. If I would have just kind of still did what I did in the first round and just can't kept my confidence, I don't think I would have lost that fight. So it still kind of haunts me. But man, Max Holloway was so good, and every single time I hit him, he got more confident. But every single time he hit me, my confidence dropped. And while I was in that fight, I remember thinking like, oh, I think this is what it means to be a UFC fighter. This is a UFC fighter, like because Max Holloway already had 6 fights in the UFC.
Mhm.
He lost to Conor McGregor by decision. He's the only featherweight to lose to Conor by a decision, and then I fought him right after he fought Conor, and yeah, fuck, I don't know. It still haunts me. Like I'm really grateful that I did fight Max, and I'm really happy that he did become a champion because I'll be lying to say like my career definitely did benefit from that fight a
Mhm.
lot. Even getting out of the UFC, like
Right,
I got
right.
a lot of other fights just because I fought Holloway, so that was kind of cool. But
And Holloway
yeah,
had good words about you. 'Cause, I mean, he had good high respects when he fought you. I
yeah,
was trying to look for those, but I don't know where. I think I erased. I should have saved it in my files. But I mean, he did mention about that was a good fight and had high respects about you. Bare knuckle, bro. I mean, I've been seeing you fighting Muay Thai, MMA, Lethwei, now bare knuckle. With this one,
that was my
what
first
happened
bare
here?
knuckle boxing fight in London. It was cool because the BKB is a huge show in London. I would say like BKFC is the biggest in America, but BKB is the biggest in England, and it was at the O2 Arena. It wasn't the main O2, but it was the little smaller one. But it's still 5,000 capacity arena, massive show, massive audience, and yeah, I remember that fight was 7 rounds because they have 3 rounds, 5 rounds, 7 rounds, and I think all the way up to 9 rounds is what they do for their championship fights. But it's 2 minute rounds. The ring is tiny. It's like a bathtub. You're fighting in a bathtub. I always joke like it's so small. It's like literally I could take 2 steps. My opponent takes 2 steps, and we're already face to face. It's so crazy. But yeah, bare knuckle boxing's a yeah,
Uh,
that's a tough. In my opinion, I think that's the toughest, most hardcore combat sport. I think it's more hardcore than Lethwei.
is it?
Lethwei, you can tie up with a clinch. You can
Uh-huh.
use your teeps and kicks to keep them away. But the
Right.
fact in bare knuckle boxing, you can only use your hands,
It's
and you're
just
so
punches.
limited.
Uh-huh.
And you are bare knuckle. Like you're at least Lethwei, I can put gauze on my hands and make my hand feel more secure. But Lethwei, like I mean, bare knuckle boxing, I just feel like it's I don't know. It
I
hurts. It hurts.
remember one of the fighters in bare knuckle. I don't know if you heard Tony Lopez.
Yeah. Oh, I know Tony really well. He's one of the very few Americans that have over 100 pro fights. He's like, I'm like, there's only like 5 of us, and Tony's one to me, Tony, Steve Banks. And there's a few other guys, but yeah, we're the only like few that have over 100 fights.
You are, should I say, you should be like on the Hall of Famer on the most number of fights. And and Tony has been fighting bare knuckle. I think he mentioned that it's better to punch your opponent in the body than on the head because if you don't know how to hit your opponent on the head, I mean, it could literally break your hand.
Yeah, it's so easy to break your hand. It's so easy to get swollen. Even if you hit an elbow, it's even risky hitting the body because if the elbow does block yeah, it really does hurt. Like it sounds so. I'm getting. It sounds so dumb, but like getting hit with gloves, I don't feel like it's painful. Like yeah, it knocks you back, or you might even bloody nose or something.
Uh-huh.
But the sting you feel from bare knuckle, it's completely different. And I still haven't got used to it to be honest. And I'm not. I say it's my least favorite form of fighting.
Would you still be fighting bare knuckle?
Yeah, my next one will be for BKB again. They're doing their first show in Phuket in January, and I'll be fighting for them. It'll be yeah. I mean, it's weird because I didn't want to keep fighting bare knuckle boxing. I prefer MMA. Definitely like MMA better. Um, but even during COVID, the only fights, most of the fights that I got offered were bare knuckle boxing fights, and they
Mhm.
were for decent money. They do pay like decently compared
I
to a lot
know.
of other shows.
I
So
know.
like I don't like it's hard to like I chose this path, and it's like this is how I earn my living. So it's just like even it sucks and I don't always like doing it. I'd rather be broke than sore, Like I mean, I'd rather be sore than broke. You know
Sorry
what I
that
mean?
broke. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I said busiest because you're not just a fighter. You're a promoter as well.
yeah.
You- And for this one, you have talk to me about TFC.
So Thailand Fighting Championship we started in January 2017, and it was just like a fun project. Just do it for I always felt like if I ever when I do eventually retire from fighting, maybe like when I'm 40, about like I still think I got 8 more years fighting. But TFC was just like a fun project. Just
Mm.
hold shows, promote your own event, and like it was just something I thought I could do, and just thought like why not do it? I live in Southeast Asia. I've done my whole career here. Why not like try to contribute to the industry here in Southeast Asia and give fighters more opportunities? Because so many guys are so hungry for
Mhm.
fights, but there really isn't a lot of shows, especially in Thailand and in Southeast Asia. There's only and really since one championship,
Only a
the
few.
market really is has gotten smaller, and the show numbers compared to 10 years ago to today, it's I would say 10 years ago there were more shows than there are today. So I don't know. I just thought
And
about doing it, and I
mhm.
thought eventually it will become my full time career, maybe after I retire. But so I'm just trying to lay the foundation for that over these next, 8 years until like when I'm 40 and retire fighting, then I can fully promote later.
Other than promoting fights, you do coach fighters
Yeah, I
and manage
coach. I do.
fighters.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I coach everybody, like casual members, people wanting to lose weight, like people just doing it for fun. I definitely coaching amateurs and professionals is much more fun. It's
Mhm.
much more exciting, but definitely casual members still pay the bills. Your my PTs, like having PT clients, definitely much. If you ask me, hey, work with a pro fighter. Most fighters like me, like we're broke, but I rather I kind of like coaching like casual members that just do it for fun because they're willing to pay.
You do have a gym, am I correct?
No, I don't have a gym any. I was I've been at different gyms over the years. I've helped Taiwan top team when I was in Taiwan. I helped start, and my friend
Mm.
still runs that. I used to run a gym in Khao Lak, Thailand, in the south. I did that for about 2 years, and I stopped doing that. But I'm always just bouncing around and been all over. And I coach. Yeah, I'm a freelance fighter and a freelance coach.
Now talking about a lot of fights, fight circus. What
Did you
is
see?
this all about, Will?
Did you see the last event by chance?
Not yet, but I'm gonna watch it because I was searching YouTube about fight circus. I mean, this is crazy. Now, talk to
Oh,
me
it's
about this one.
man. So John, he's the one who's kind of one of the original guys in Thailand that did Dare Fight Sports. He has a show called Full Metal Dojo that does pro fights that I fought for
Oh,
before. But
uh,
Fight Circus is like this his complete new brand of just entertainment combat sports, and it's like mixing in WWE, WWF with real fighting as well. So all the fights you see on Fight Circus are 100% real, but it's
mhm,
like crazy rule fights, spinning only, fighting in like with obstacles like I fought Fight Circus 3. I did 2 versus 1. I fought two little Thai guys. They're about 150 each, and I was
uh-huh.
about 185. And I fought both of them, and those guys fought John Nutt, the promoter, fought them after me on the last event, and they just do all this crazy stuff. They get two hot girls doing Indian leg wrestling, which is like arm wrestling, but
Uh-huh.
like arm wrestling, but with your legs. They do like all kinds of crazy
Oh
stuff.
my goodness! But they will be having another event, and
Yeah, so their last
you
event
will be
just a
on
couple
it.
weeks ago, I was referee. They had a Lethwei fight.
Uh-huh.
They have another fight called it's called Wheel of Violence. Round one, they spin this wheel, and it might say MMA, it might say Muay Thai, it might say boxing, it might have like a funny rule fight, and boom, the first round was MMA. The second round was spinning only. They had to do spinning attacks only. The third round they fought Muay Thai. It was the most, and I was the referee. It was the craziest thing to referee. It was the craziest thing to watch. I had the best seat in the house, but it was just
And
yeah.
how
Fight
was the
circus is
audience?
off
How
the
was it accepted though?
people online audience loves it. I personally like it's crazy. It's so last show was one of the most violent shows I've ever watched in combat sports. And I've seen like 7 year olds do full Muay Thai with elbows, but I think last show was still more violent than that. There was
Damn.
a lady boy Muay Thai fighter versus a male, very good American male Muay Thai fighter, and he beat the shit out of the lady boy. And it was just like it was the most violent shit I've ever seen. I mean, like if you guys want to be odd, like you guys want to see like real combat entertainment, I would say go check out Fight Circus. But if you want to see like, I think they take the sport out of it. They're just Fight Circus really focused on the entertainment side and the
Yeah.
violent side of it. So if you really like MMA and combat sports for the sport, you probably won't like Fight Circus. But if you're like Logan Paul and Jake Paul, the boxing matches and like celebrity fighting and all this,
Uh,
you'll love Fight Circus. And I think that's the market they're trying to go after too, you know? So
yeah.
it's quite crazy.
If you got YouTubers who wants to fight, this would be a
Yeah.
good venue to do it.
Yes.
I got several more. Let me see. This one, Arvin
Arvin
Chan,
Chan,
and that would be come this December,
December 6th. It's on a
December 6th.
Tuesday, I believe. Um, yeah, this is cool because if I win this fight, this is for the welterweight title. If I win this fight, I'll be the very, very first URCC fighter to have ever held three belts in three different weight classes for the URCC. Like the picture you showed, 2013, I
Uh-huh.
won their featherweight title. 2015 or 16, I won their lightweight title. And now 2022, on like the end of 2022, it's their 20th year anniversary as well because DRC started in 2002. So it's a big deal. If I beat this guy, it's like I've won three belts in three weight classes, and I think it. I already think I like my ego. I already think I belong in the URCC Hall of Fame. But
Hmm.
after this fight, hands down, they can't deny me to be in the URC Hall of Fame. So
When you fight, some fighters like they watch the video of their opponent, and they study them. For you being a busy fighter, sometimes you take fights in just a week before. How do you prepare for it?
I just try to stay in the best shape that I can, and I just show up and fight. If I'm having a real serious opponent and I have a proper fight camp, I'll have my one of my coaches or one of my friends watch their videos. I have like a weird superstition. I don't like to watch their videos.
Oh,
Anytime I've ever watched one of my opponent's videos, either I get there's two things happen. I get too confident or I get too much anxiety and I worry too much. So and both things are not good. I don't want to be overconfident and I don't want to worry too much either. And that's usually what happens. And so I stopped watching fight footage years
mm,
ago, and
mm,
I'll let a friend do it, and they'll tell me what I need to watch out for, and
right,
that's
right.
that's good enough for me. Or I'll just show up and in like the first minute, I always try to like download my opponent. I'm usually a slow starter, anyways. Try to figure out what's going to happen, what they're going to do, or how I can capitalize, and then
Right.
usually within the first 1 or 2 minutes, I know how the fight's going to go, anyways. That's kind of like a good thing and a bad thing. Having so many fights is because sometimes within the first 2 minutes, I can know I'm going to lose. But sometimes
Mm,
I know, oh, I can win this fight quite easy. Like it's kind of a it
yeah.
sucks knowing when you're going to lose. You know?
Actually, you could predict the fight on
Yeah.
on the first few minutes, given that you already have that kind of experience. Easiest fight that you had.
Oh, I fought for Malaysia Fighting Championship 4. This I think was in 2011 or early 2012. I fought two guys in the same night, and it was both of those fights I won by rear naked choke,
Uh-huh.
and won both in the first round. Got two wins on my record. It was such a that was probably the easiest fight night I think I've ever had. And it's funny, I fought for like a free buffet and a bunch of free beers. I fought for like a beer tab that night too, a beer tab and a buffet.
That's how it was, man. That's what. Um, Let me see. I got another thing. You still got 5-10 minutes. You're okay.
Yeah, yeah, all good. Yeah, I'm
Cool,
free.
cool. Most difficult fight, but I'm gonna try to categorize it on different, discipline. MMA, your most difficult fight.
I think both of them were probably in Korea. I fought for Top FC or TFC Top FC in Korea. Uh, One, I broke my arm 6 weeks before the fight, and I had a fracture in my left arm, and I lost by a decision. And I fought this really tough wrestler, and I was able to stand up a few times, but because I could not pummel with my left arm,
Mm,
anytime I did, it just hurt too much, and because it was the fracture was still healing, and it was definitely a tough fight, just because fuck, I was such an
yeah.
idiot fighting with a broken arm, and then yeah, I lost a decision that fight, and then one that I won was also in Korea, and I
Uh-huh.
fought another Korean top team guy, and it was a 3 round war, and he just fucked me up, almost knocked me out the first round, and I just kept stepping forward and going forward, and I was eventually able to break him, and I won in the third round for that fight. But yeah, I've had some tough fucking fights in Korea. Korea's been tough.
Not Korean zombie.
Nah, but both fighters that I did fight were from Korean top team. Both two of my toughest fights, I would say most difficult. One I won and one I lost. Yeah.
Toughest Muay Thai fight.
Mm, what can I say? K1 too? K1 and Muay Thai, or just Muay Thai? I think Muay Thai maybe. When I was younger, I fought a lot of the shows in Phuket. Phuket has three Muay Thai stadiums, and
Mm.
there's almost a fight night going on in Muay Thai at least every night of the week in Phuket. Literally, I would say 5 or 6 nights a week. There's Muay Thai fights at one of the stadiums, sometimes both of the stadiums. But they don't do weigh-ins for the shows. So a lot of times you just tell them your weight and you hope you get a guy the same weight
Oh.
or a little bit less. But a lot of times you get guys a lot bigger. And
Uh-huh.
a lot of the promoters know me and they know I'm very tall. And so they try to find, instead of finding somebody my same weight, they used to try to find somebody the same height or around the same height. And I
Right,
fought a
right.
lot of guys around the same height as me, 6 foot plus, but fucking huge, not skinny like me. And I've had a lot of tough fights in Bangladesh Stadium. Got my ass kicked in that stadium, just fighting bigger guys that are they're the same height as me, but way bigger because like you've seen before, like I used to be really skinny. I
I
still am
know.
quite skinny for my height. So yes, it wasn't fun.
How about in bare knuckle?
Joe Elmore and BKFC, my first BKFC fight in Mississippi, and he broke my orbital. It was the hardest I ever got hit in my life. That was yeah during COVID. What was it 2020? That was 2020. Yeah, fucking a. Yeah, it's right before I went to Korea. Yeah, during COVID too. Fuck. But yeah, he broke my Elmore. He broke my orbital. I mean,
Oh,
Joe Elmore
wow.
did.
Did you had
Yeah.
any surgeries for that?
No, I was lucky. It was like the fracture was it was a clean break, so I was able to calcium by itself. But yeah, thank God. Because if not, I'd probably need. I'm sure other doctors will say I need a metal plate, but I'm like,
Mm.
nah. You guys are just trying to get money, and I don't got insurance, so fuck you.
You did you did fought boxing, or are you still fighting boxing?
Yeah, I still fight every Western boxing every now and then. It's a lot more rare, but yeah, I still do. Um, I think my hardest boxing fight, I had a draw against. He was a former Sea Games medalist, and he fought, and he's Singaporean, but he's a Singaporean Sea Games medalist. And Singapore doesn't get a lot of credit for its boxing, but all their national boxers that compete for the Sea Games and the Commonwealth Games are quite fucking good. And a lot of
Oh,
those guys have 50, 60 up to 50, 60 plus fights as well. And those kids are fucking good.
wow.
And they just train because they like it. They don't train because they're poor or
Mhm.
they need to box. Those Singaporeans that box train because that's what they love to do, you know? So it's different.
That's your passion.
Yeah, it's a different fighting those guys than like Filipinos or Thai guys who only fight for money.
Mm. In your Lethwei fight, what was the
Um,
difficulty?
my second Lethwei fight, I fought this guy named Daryl Lukuku. He's a Ryzen veteran, and it was funny. Um, we're in
Oh,
the last round, and if it, in Lethway, if you don't win by knockout, it's a draw automatically. He was winning on points though. If you were to judge it, you would think he's winning. He was winning. And in the last round, 30 seconds left, he headbutts me and split me open. It was this nasty gash, and he won. He won by TKO. The referee stopped it. I couldn't even be mad because the blood just poured down. But the good news was is I fought Daryl Okuku literally 6 weeks later under MMA rules, and I beat him. And, it's
And
cool
what was
because
that?
this was 2000 maybe 17 or 8 no 2018 or 19, not two yeah 2018 or 19. We yeah 18 2018 we fought Lethwei, he beat me, and then we fought MMA, and then I beat him. So eventually we're gonna have a trilogy. Eventually, I said we should pro wrestle next, but
It was a
he
sweet
just laughed.
revenge, bro.
He wants revenge. Like I mean, we're set up though. We got that. We will have a trilogy fight eventually.
Your favorite technique on your fights when you do MMA? What's your go-to technique?
I think, and it's so boring, but like my definitely, and I didn't even intend for it to be this way. I'm not even. I would say I don't think I specialize in jiu-jitsu, but I have 22 wins by rear naked choke, and I have like maybe 5 wins by guillotine,
Uh-huh.
one or two wins by triangle. But I like chokes, and I find chokes are the easiest for me to get, and they just always come to me. And for like, I like rear naked choke. I like taking the back, and like I said, I'm not even a real jiu-jitsu specialist, but most of my wins are by submission. And even now in the gym, I do end up searching for that, like trying to get on guys' backs
Mm.
and just trying to stay there and either ride out the round because we're in the gym. Because I'm in the gym, if I choke them, we have to reset. So a lot of
Right.
times I'll just get on guys' back and then just take a nap and chill for the until the round's over and then go to just because I don't want to reset.
So I think your name should be Will the Kill Choke. So,
Yeah, it should be. Yeah,
your favorite fighting style that is applicable on the streets, or
definitely
have you been
Lethwei.
in street fight in Phuket or somewhere else?
I've never been in a street fight since I've been an adult. Like, luckily, I've had really close encounters. But I think ever since I became a pro fighter, I've really tried to de-escalate the situations.
Right, right, right.
I always try to like avoid like public conflict because I'm very aware of weapons and obstacles and stools or like even like a lot of the streets, the way the sewers are and like the
Mm.
sidewalks and how uneven ground is and stuff. But if you ask me the most applicable martial art for street fighting, I don't think it's Krav Maga. I don't think it's Jiu-Jitsu or MMA because you do have to think about the asphalt or the street. But I think Lethwei or bare knuckle boxing is about as close as you're going to get to a
Those
street fight.
two.
Lethwei because you can do everything without a ground game. It's pretty much like Valley Tudo. I always say
Mhm.
Lethwei should be called Valley Tudo stand up.
You know what? I think as we mature, the more we mature as a fighter, the more that you don't want to fight on streets, the more you become aware. Because I think uh, you give more damage to your whoever that guy is, and at the same time, it will destroy your record.
Yeah,
And
well, there's police, there's media, and all that stuff you have to worry about. Also,
right,
in America, people don't know this. If you're a licensed boxer or a licensed fighter by a commission, if you get in a street fight, it will actually, it sounds so cliche stupid, but if you fight somebody, it is assault with a deadly weapon because you're a
right,
licensed
right,
fighter.
right.
Did you know that?
I know, I know. Same thing
Yeah,
in the Philippines. It's
yeah.
you'll have a felony charge,
Yeah,
criminal
so it's like,
charge.
why am I going to get in a street fight and be
Uh-huh.
like assault with a deadly weapon when I'm just bare knuckle, or even if I'm defending myself,
Hmm.
it's still like because you're a professional fighter or because you're a security guard or a police officer, you're supposed to de-escalate the situation, and also sometimes people aren't like that. So I'll be the first one to say I'm sorry. I'll try to walk
Right,
out.
right, right.
I always try to avoid conflict. I don't. I like looking like wear my glasses, wear my normal clothes. I'm just a teacher. I'm a nerd. I'm not a fighter. Like I don't want people to know that either, because a lot of people in the West they will like try to test themselves or try to clown you just
Right,
because they
right,
want to
right.
show their friends they're tough. So I don't want people to know I'm a pro fighter. I don't have that problem in Asia. I would say in Asia, the only problems in Thailand are with like rowdy tourists, but
Uh-huh.
locals and stuff like everybody in Asia for the most part. I would say Asia is a whole lot safer than it is in America or in Western countries, and I never have to deal with that to be honest. So
On your place, you're not considered a tourist anymore.
no. But I'm saying, but the only time I've ever seen shit kind of get crazy, or not with me, but with other people, is usually
Yeah, I
with
know. Yeah,
rowdy
yep.
tourists who are drunk or at the nightlife or something like that. But yeah, I've never seen locals go crazy unless they're defending themselves against Rowdy Taurus.
I know. Remember that movie Con Air? Nick
Which one?
Cage, Con Air, with Nicolas
Yeah,
Cage.
yeah.
Same thing with him. He was trying to defend his family. I mean,
Oh,
he's in special forces. He went to jail. That's how it is.
yeah.
Favorite movie, bro?
Oh, Gladiator for sure. I think Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Oh, that's an epic movie.
Gladiator, that's a classic.
Diet. How?
I
What
don't
is
die.
the diet of Will Choke, especially when he fights like this?
Like candy, snack food, pizza. It's crazy. I'm fighting, but this fight's at welterweight. I'm only like uh maybe 180 pounds right now. So I only got 10 pounds I have to cut, like which I can do within like 24 hours anyways. So I
Uh-huh.
usually cut water weight before the fight. I'm not gonna. I don't need to diet down to be 170 exactly. I definitely
Right.
do water cuts to make weight, just like everybody else does in the industry. But if I have to make lightweight again, lightweight's quite hard. 155 nowadays. I do need a diet. Like I'd say 2 3 weeks before a fight, I have to cut my carbs, cut my sugars, cut my salts, and kind of clean up my diet if I make 155. And same, I had to do that for the last few times I used to make featherweight. I'm no longer a featherweight. The lowest I can get to is maybe 155. But the last time I made 155 was last February,
Mhm.
and it was quite tough. It was hard. So I like catch weights. I like fighting at 160 or 165 or even 170. I'd rather fight bigger guys and not have to cut weight than to go through those brutal weight cuts anymore.
Right. Right. It gets harder when you grow older. Is that
Yes.
correct? What's your
Yeah.
secret to longevity in the sports, bro? Because you've been on here in the sports, but the thing is not just longevity. You've been fighting back, left and right. What's your
Yeah.
secret?
I think it's always training smart, always fighting smart too. Like I think a lot during my fights, and I don't go out there wild anymore. And is this is gonna sound like loser talk, but I do accept, like, if I'm in the second round or the end of the second round or towards the third round,
Uh
and
huh.
I know if I can't win the fight, I'm not saying I just quit, but like sometimes you have to know when it's like when enough is enough too. And I
Mm.
think after I've had so many fights, I do have that knowledge now. I know when enough is enough. But I never really been injured too much during fights. Usually the injuries come in the gym, and I've always never like left my ego at the door. I'm not too crazy in the gym. I just try and go in there, get work, get my heart rate up, get good cardio, and I'm not. I do think that's important, is leaving your ego at the door when you're training and at the gym, because
Mhm.
and I don't think I and even to this day, a lot of pro fighters I see that I train with, or when I go gym hop in different gyms, I do see a lot of guys with big egos and something to prove and sparring way too hard. And I'm like, dude, you're not getting paid to spar. Like
Mhm.
I'm a prize fighter. Like I'm not gonna go to war in the gym. I'm just here to
Right.
work,
Right. Right.
work on my technique, work on my cardio, and yeah, I think training smart is definitely the secret. Because what say 90% plus of the injuries come from the gym. It doesn't come from the fight.
I hear you. I
Yeah,
hear you because you spend more time in the gym. Fight, it'll be what, 20 minutes max, maybe 30
Matt.
minutes. And that's
Yep.
it. But I mean, when you train for weeks and months. Now, I'm going to show you a photo. I don't know if you still remember this, but it brings me a happy moment. Try to look at that one.
Hey, that was the one championship. What was that?
It-
Their fuck.
that
Forget.
was in Mandalay Bay in
Yeah,
Singapore, and that one championship MMA summit.
yeah. Summit. That's what it was. The summit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
summit.
I think was that their first one? That was their first one, right?
That's their first one, I guess. First one.
Yeah, I think yeah. Because I went to the
Yeah,
first one. They had three others, but yeah, yeah.
yep, they have three
That
of
was
them,
cool. It
but
was cool to see everybody. It was weird because I'm sort of blacklisted with one championship because I have a big mouth about a lot of the policies. And but it's funny, even during that time, I was kind of like right in the line. I wasn't quite blacklisted yet, but I did
uh,
do some shit talking then. Those were my shit talking days, and
and,
and like
and Man,
It was
that
funny
was
because a
fun.
lot of people were surprised to see me at the one summit. They're like, "I thought you hated one. I thought one hated you. Why are you here?"
Will, final thoughts, Will. It's been a pleasure. It's fun having you here. I mean, I thank you for giving your most precious time here in MMA Davao. You've been a good friend. And advice, final thoughts, shout out, plug your fights, plug your business. The floor is
Oh
yours.
man.
Go ahead.
Judge, if you guys want to follow me, Instagram at Asia with a Kill, or if you want to follow what I'm doing with Thailand Fighting Championship, you can always check out Thailand Fighting Championship. Yo, thank you, Vince. Thanks for this. Shout out to all the Filipino fans, all the people follow MMA Davao. I'll be fighting in like December 6th in the URCC, so definitely hope to win that welterweight title, and it's going to be good to come back to the Philippines after a long time. And yeah, thanks for having me on, bro. It's good to catch up after such a long time. Your microphone, I can't hear you.
Okay, that's my
Oh, there you
problem, bro.
go.
Other than your fighter, you're also now a YouTube influencer. You got a YouTube channel, so ask people to like, subscribe your channel.
Oh yeah, Will Chope TFC. I'm doing it more. I need to vlog more. I don't vlog enough, but I do post all the Thailand Fighting Championship content on my YouTube. I try to post as many as my fights as I can on my YouTube as well. And so if anybody's curious to see that as well, check me out on YouTube, Will Chope TFC, and you guys can find me. So I really appreciate that. I
Amen.
forget about this stuff all the time.
Yep. Uh, this is my last question. I'm sorry. I was supposed to ask this a few minutes ago, but I forgot.
All good.
Will Chope Talupan. What does Talupan mean?
So I just got married, and typical, call it very 2022 or very equal rights. I'm sharing my wife's name, like we're sharing each other's name. Usually it should be like, I'm retarded. This is like how my brain works. Everybody's
Uh-huh.
like, oh, the man's name is supposed to be last. It should be Will Tulipan Chope. But I was like, no, C before T, just the way my brain works. I was like, Will Tulipan. And I was like, I just got married literally. And yeah, we were sharing each other's names. So it's funny. In the URC is going to be my very first fight on the big screen where people are going to see my name, Will Chope Tulipan. So I think that's quite cool. I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, nobody could call me a misogynist or sexist because I took my wife's name. We sharing each other's names.
Yep, yep,
Very woke in 2022. I didn't, and
yep.
I'm not woke.
And there won't be any like he and his on the side of it.
God no, God no.
Will the Kill Chope here in MMA Davao. Thank you so much. God bless you, bro.
Thank you, bro. Thanks so much.
See you when I see you. God bless. Bye bye.
Yes, sir, man. Catch up soon. Cheers.